Here are 10 lessons that running has taught me about life. Hi, my name is Michelle Fondin. I'm the author of 12 published books, including The 8 Limbs of Yoga for Modern Times, a practical guide to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. You can find all of my 12 published books on Amazon and 10 on Ingram Spark. The links are all below. If you're new to this channel, I want to welcome you here. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I do tarot readings. You can book that at my website, michellefondinauthor.com. And welcome to the Life Wisdom vlog. This is a vlog I started, I don't know, back in 2020, 2021, and I really didn't do a whole lot with it. But now that I am writing my brand new book, Love Me Unconditionally, a spiritual guide to self-love, I'm doing videos that inspire me personally with information that I would like to share with you on books that I've read, inspirational quotes, authors, spiritual thoughts, philosophical thoughts. Those are the things I'll be sharing with you more and more as my writing gets more intense, because I'm coming to the end of the writing process within 30 days. And so I'll be focusing a lot on that. So we're gonna do some life wisdom here on YouTube and a lot of vlogging and live streams just for you, for me to share me with you. As some of you know, I've been training for Disney's Princess Half Marathon that's happening on March 1st of 2026. I talked about it in my last live stream last Tuesday. If you're viewing this video on January 29th of 2026, if you're viewing after, welcome. But I also talked a little bit about it in Monday's Michelle Fondin Author vlog number 29, I think 29 or 30, not really sure. And I talked about it because I am training for this half marathon. It's not my first, it's my third. And as I'm running those long distances, running for sometimes up to 2 hours or more, as I approach this half marathon, I get these thoughts about life. And I would like to share them with you, whether you're a runner or not, because these little tidbits of life wisdom that running has taught me can apply to anyone in any situation. You do not have to be a runner. So stay tuned, listen carefully, take some notes, and see if any of these resonate with you. And if they do, please put that in the comments section below. Number 1 is run your own race. Yes, run your own race all the time. In the race, in training, and in life. Run your own race. I'm sure you've heard the expression, stay in your lane, right? When it pertains to getting in other people's business, when it pertains to comparison and competition with others, stay in your lane, run your own race. Now, this is so appropriate when training or when running a race, because when you're training, you can psych yourself out when you see other runners running faster, more efficiently, passing you up. And even if you pass them up, you see them passing you up again. And that is super frustrating. But here's the thing I need to tell myself during those really long runs is, first and foremost, I have no idea how long they are running that day, right? Maybe they're only running 3 miles. And if I'm running 10 miles, 11 or 12 miles that day, my pacing is not going to be the same as theirs. Secondarily, you don't know their ability, if they're runners, if they're professional runners, right? So if you compare yourself to others, if you compare yourself by getting out the measuring stick and seeing how you measure up to others, or if you feel superior to others because you're running faster, right? either in a race or in training or in life, if you compare yourself to others, it's problematic because you don't really know the entire story of their lives. So if you run your own race, no matter what, you have only yourself to compare yourself to. Am I doing better than I have done before? Am I thinking better? Am I feeling better? Is my mental game on par with where it was last time? Or is it even better? How am I doing physically, right? We spend so much of our lives comparing ourselves to others, trying to get into other people's business, projecting ourselves onto others, when in fact, the only race we can really run is our own race. And when I'm on mile 9 and I see myself going way, way slower than anybody else out there on the beach trail, I know that it does not matter because I am only running my race. I cannot compare myself to anybody else. And that is how I stay on my mental game. I tell myself that it is okay to only compare myself to myself, because in life, this is difficult for me. I'm constantly comparing myself to others. I feel that I am behind in a lot of things when it comes to life stuff. And so I always compare myself to others, and I know that is not the thing to do. So as I've been growing, maturing, becoming a better person for myself, I try as hard as I can not to compare myself to anybody else in anybody else's timeline and anybody else's journey, because I'm the only one running my race. Number 2, you can do more than you think you can. Running really is a mental game over anything else. Physical ability counts for something, but if you can walk, you can run. Even if it's very slow, even if it's intermittent running and walking, right? So if you can walk, and if you can walk without pain, you can run even just a little. When you are training for a long distance race, maybe a 10K, maybe a half marathon, maybe a marathon, maybe an ultra marathon, you think at the beginning that it might not be even possible that you could run such a long distance or run for such a long time. And in fact, the body does fatigue. And if you were just to listen to your body and not listen to the wholeness of who you are, then you would give up before you even start, or you would give up really early in the process. When you're training for a long race, you have to tell yourself that you can really do more than you think you actually can. Now, of course, it's important to take time to train, right? You can't just go from the couch to a half marathon in 1 month with very little running in between. I'm not saying you can't do it. It's just not a reasonable goal for your body. So when you think about this in life, you think that I cannot achieve that goal. It seems impossible. Or I can't achieve this. It seems totally impossible. And so we hold ourselves back before we even start because mentally we think, I can't do that. I've never done that. Or I can't do that. That's too hard. It'll take too long. It'll take too much discipline and willpower. I don't have that type of discipline and willpower. Well, here is what I personally found in my half marathon training, that if you break down the large goal into smaller chunks and just think about the 5 minutes ahead, when you do that, you can achieve so much more than you ever thought was possible. because you're only thinking in small increments, and a lot of small increments lead to a greater distance ahead. And so as I'm getting up to this 11 miles, 12 miles, I'm not running 13 before the race. The race is March 1st. But as I'm getting up to 11 and 12 miles, what I'm doing is not even thinking about that, because when I think about it, it psychs me out. But when I think about running the next 5 minutes, it's a whole lot easier, because all I have to do is think about that next 5 minutes. Now, this could go the same way for you in any task or goal that you would like to achieve in life, whether it's losing 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 100 pounds. You think about the next couple of pounds. That's it. You don't think about the larger goal. You think about the next couple of ones. And once you achieve that, you think about the next couple of ones, right? And that's the easiest way to do anything. And if you focus on the smaller goals, anything, really anything is possible. Number 3, the ground won't always be steady. Oh boy. I live near the beach. I run on the boardwalk on the beach, which is, the cement pavement of the beach, where people ride their bikes, walk their dogs, they skateboard, they run, they talk and walk very slowly, but it's at the beach. So at the beach, there are going to be different conditions. There might be a lot of sand on the trail. There might be dog doo-doo on the trail that people have not picked up. There might be bottles and trash and bottle caps that you could potentially slip on. So you must know that even though you have the best intentions at hand, you must know that the reality of it is the ground will not always be steady. Sometimes there's an incline. Sometimes the cement is choppy and there's a crack in it. Sometimes there's brush or leaves or branches in the trail. So you're not always going to know what the ground underneath you gives. The idea is that you stay grounded and steady so that you can be prepared and ready for what may come ahead. Isn't that a fabulous life lesson to know about? That if you have a solid foundation with yourself, your body, your mind, your soul, then you can be ready for whatever life throws at you, because the life foundation, the life ground will not always be steady and you cannot predict it. Sometimes when I go outside to run my 9 miles, 10 miles, and it's predicted to be sun, I do live in sunny Southern California, so usually there's sun. But one time when I was recovering from an injury, I went out, I looked at the weather, it said 0 chance of precipitation. I go out there to run, and guess what? As soon as I stepped foot on the trail, it started raining, and the rain was not even down, it was slanted. So as I was running, the rain was literally in my face. In my face. I couldn't have predicted it. The weather app did not predict it. And it made the ground slippery on top of the sand and slippery cement. But I pursued on. I didn't run as long as I had planned, but I buckled down. I bent my knees a little bit. I made sure my feet were touching the ground. So you have to be prepared that the ground may not be steady as you move forward. Number 4 is your weakness may very well be your strength. Now, I wanted to do an entire video on this one. I'm just going to do it briefly here for you. Your weakness might be your point of strength. So for me, I tend to carry my weight in the lower half of my body. So from my hips on down. And my thighs are a part of my body that have been challenging for me, as my thighs have tended to hold a lot of weight. Even when I'm thinning down, the weight of my thighs are certainly the very, very last place for that weight to drop off. So I've complained my entire life about the fact that I hold a lot of weight in my thighs. Now, when I thought about running and I thought about the base, right? The base of your running is in the hips, the thighs, the tops of the thighs, the gluteus muscles. That's where your center of power is coming from. And so as I was running faster, as I was running longer distances, I realized that my point of weakness that I felt was the point of weakness my entire life is actually my point of strength. That having a heftier base, if you will, was really helping to keep me stable throughout the running process. And all I need to do is strengthen that area, and then it becomes even more powerful. So if there is something in your life that you find is your weakness, go ahead and delve in and find the strength within that, because it's usually at your weakest link, your weakest point is where you can find that strength, whether it be your inner strength, your bodily strength, your mental strength, right? You can always find it within that weak point. Number 5, other people will get in your way. If you accept this common fact, your running, your life will become so much easier. So much easier. So when I began running regularly on the boardwalk, on the beach, when I began running regularly, I found myself getting extremely frustrated, angry, upset, irate. It's silly, right? When I say it out loud now, it sounds very silly. When other people were in my way, right? I'm trying to run at a certain pace, a certain distance, and then some people will be walking with their dogs on a very long leash, and it's like they're over here, the leash is here, their dog is here. Now, where am I to go as a runner? Where am I to go? There's a person, a leash, and a dog. Sometimes it's people walking 5 across. And so bikes can't get by, runners can't get by. There are many, many different scenarios and situations in which people will be in your way when you're trying to accomplish something. This happens very often during races, right? If you've ever run a road race, you know that oftentimes you're going to have to pass up some people, especially if you're a faster runner than some. And it's your job just to find the way, find a little space to move about, and move about. It's nobody's fault. It's nobody's issue. It's your issue. So that's something I really had to learn and realize, was that these people aren't here to make my life difficult. These people are just living their lives. Have you ever been out on the road and just really upset at the way people are driving? They're in your way. But it's not their issue, it's your issue. You're the one getting upset because they're in your way. So just gently move over a lane, right? That's all you need to do. So I feel like in life, if we just accept that other people are just living their lives, they're running their races, and yes, they might get in your way. They might even come into your lane. What happens with that? But if you just gently course correct yourself, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. And there's no need to get frustrated, upset, angry, irate. All you need to do is simply move and get back on your path. That's it. Other people will always get into your way, and dogs and bicycles and skateboards and roller skates. Anything and everything will tend to get in your way, but it's your job to find the path, right? It's your job to find the path. Number 6, kindness to your body will make you go further. I had to learn this the hard way. I haven't been so kind to myself in general for the past 50 some odd years. I'm not going to give you an exact date, but I haven't been really kind to my body. I have high demands. So I tend to be very demanding of myself to perform in many ways. And during this race, during this training for this race, I've had the deliberate intention of being kinder to my body. Now, I speak about this in the vlog that I posted about how going slow can make you go faster, right? So I talk about the Jeff Galloway run, walk, run system and how after many weeks of deliberation, I decided to try it. And I found that being kinder to your body can actually make you go further faster. It can make you go ahead faster. Now, how does this apply in life? How many people say, like, I can't sleep, I'll sleep when I'm dead? Have you seen my to-do list? Right? Have you ever said that? And it's because we have this notion that life is about completing tasks and actions and goals. And so we forget to treat our bodies with kindness, feeding our bodies the right food, getting enough rest, getting enough exercise, doing enough stretching, right? Standing at least once or twice an hour if you're at work. And so I have found that I can get more accomplished if I'm kinder to my body. I can even go further and I can go faster. That's pretty amazing. Number 7, breathe. Breathe. If you don't breathe properly when you are running, especially running long distances, you will pass out. Point blank, you will pass out. If you don't have your breathing be slow, steady, and rhythmic, you're not going to get very far. You just are not. You have to understand how to breathe to run any distance. In life, we have a tendency to hold our breath, to breathe shallowly, to not breathe when situations get tense. Don't we tend to hold our breath? Have you ever held your breath and then realized afterward that you were holding your breath and you weren't breathing? In this book, of course, because it's a yoga book, I talk about pranayama, yoga breathing techniques, and there are so many techniques in this book that you can use to enhance your life on so many levels because we don't breathe enough. You might find that comical because in order to stay alive, you kind of have to breathe, right? You might find that comical. You might say, you're full of it, Michelle. I might be full of it, but I'm probably not. Probably not, because most people don't know how to breathe properly. I, in fact, owned a yoga studio for 10 years, and I taught many, many, many people how to breathe properly because most people don't know how to properly breathe. That keeps them energetic, that keeps them healthy, that keeps their lymphatic system clear in order to keep their mood high, right? Most people just don't know how to breathe. So breathe. Take a breath right now. Number 8, the mind is a powerful tool. Remember how I said that running is a mental game? Any sport in reality is a mental game. Yes, physical ability counts, especially if you are in competitive sports. You have to have some ability. If I were to try to go out and play basketball or baseball, I would fail terribly because I have no skill. But if you have the skill and you don't have the mental game, you are certainly going to fail. That's why I highly believe in sports and exercise because it trains your mind to be disciplined. So whether it's running, walking, yoga, regular sports, right? Any other team sport, if you will, you need to have some sort of discipline that teaches you mental discipline. So your mind is so incredibly powerful that when you start to fatigue, and I think it was Jeff Galloway that said this in one of his videos, it may have been somebody else, but let's just say it was Jeff Galloway. When you're running really long distances, your body is going to tell you it's time to give up. Your body's going to say, oh yeah, it was Jeff Galloway. He said, like, if you're looking at your limbic system, which is the reptilian brain, that's the fight, flight, freeze part of your brain. It's the fear factor part of your brain. If you're focusing on that part of your brain when you're running and breathing, it might be even hyperventilating, your brain, the reptilian brain, is going to tell you it's time to stop, right? It's time to stop. This isn't working. So you might be at mile 10 for a half marathon or mile 15, 16 for a marathon. And if you're listening to the limbic brain, it's going to tell you to stop. You can't do it. It's impossible. But if you override that to the higher brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, where you can reason and repeat affirmations and have that higher state of consciousness coming through, your intuition, then you can talk yourself into putting one foot in front of the other, that you need to keep going because this is what you set out to do. So if you can't switch from the limbic brain to the higher brain, then you're going to have a lot of problems because your mentality, your mindset, your higher mind is so incredibly powerful that, you've heard stories. I don't know if it's urban legend or what, but you've heard of mothers lifting up 3,000-pound cars to lift it off of a child, for example, right? I've walked on hot coals at a Tony Robbins event. Coals. Not supposed to walk on coals, but I've done it. And that is because of the power of the mind that told me I could do it, and I did. So you need to have a strong mind in running and in life. Number 9, slow and steady can win the race. In the vlog that I spoke about going slow to go fast, and I'll put that link here if I haven't put it up there already, I spoke about this with the run, walk, run system and how I opted to use this for my next half marathon, the Jeff Galloway system of run, walk, run. And I did this very reluctantly, but the results that showed was that I was running faster in the long run and my time is better. So I'm going to use it. But that is proof in the pudding that if you go slower, it doesn't mean you're a failure. If you go slower, it doesn't mean that you won't succeed. If you go slower, it typically means you're less prone to error, right? You're going to make less mistakes. And you may just win the race, or your race at least. You might get further ahead in your relationship, in your business, with your children, if you're not jumping the gun and trying to do things really fast or trying to be the first one there, for example. That slow and steady can indeed win the race. Number 10 is the one I like the least, but it is essential. And in fact, as I record this today, I'm experiencing this. It's actually quite perfect that this happened now. Not ideal for me, but quite perfect for this. Number 10 is rest when you are tired. Yes. So I have been pushing my limits as it's about 1 month before the half marathon. I've been pushing my limits and I've been doing things that I never thought I could do with my running. And I got a little sick this week. So I don't know what. My body's fighting something, a virus, cold, flu, something. And so I had to force myself to take a rest. And today I had to force myself to take a rest and not go to the gym, which for me, not going to the gym is just crazy. But listening to your body, giving your body what it needs, and resting when you are tired is so essential to running and to life. And in fact, any running guru, any sports guru, any weightlifting guru will tell you that real growth happens when you are resting It's not when you're running or when you're lifting heavy weights. It's in fact in between those spaces. It's when your body is resting and recuperating that you are getting better and better. But we are not accustomed to this in our lives. We're not accustomed to this in the Western world. Like I told you, I've heard more than once from many different people, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And I know a lot of gurus that I have personally had who don't sleep a whole lot or who didn't sleep a whole lot. Some of them are dead. And I know a lot of people that don't like to sleep a lot or don't like to rest, take those periodic breaks of rest. But rest is so essential. So I would say to you, rest when you are tired. And that is my 10th life lesson that running has taught me. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. If you liked this video, please give the video a thumbs up, put a comment in the comment section below, share this with others who could use a little life wisdom. Thank you so much for your support of my channel. You can purchase one of my 12 published books. You can go to my website. There are plenty of resources. You can also donate on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Michelle S. Fondin. And I will see you in the next video.